Coming up in this video, 6 books that you must read and you simply won't be able to put down. Hi, my name is Kalymnios from thethoughtgym.com, here helping you become your superhuman self. And in this video, I want to share with you 6 books that I've read which are what I call unputdownable, if that's even a word. What I mean by that is these are books that I simply couldn't put down. Even if I was at home and the lure of the TV or a video or having dinner with someone was an option, I would rather be reading these books. That's just how gripping they were. And I've read, well, in the last 10 years alone, over 400 books, but over my lifetime even more. And these are the 6 that I would rate as being ones that I simply couldn't put down. And now we're in a stage where maybe we've got a little bit more time on our hands, maybe we're allowed to read a bit more. And I always say leaders are readers, and if you want to earn more, you've got to learn more, so reading is a great option. So let's get started with the first book on the list. The first book I want to share with you is one called Scar Tissue. Scar Tissue is written by Anthony Kiedis, and if you're not familiar with the name, he is the lead singer of the band the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I used to love the Red Hot Chili Peppers growing up when I was, back in the 90s as a teenager. I would listen to Blood, Sugar, Sex Magik. That was the album that I was most familiar with. And then when I was traveling, Californication, between sort of 99 and 2001 when I was traveling, that was the album that I used to listen to. The book Scar Tissue, it really is kind of ghost written because it's written so well. It's like I say, you can't put it down. And it basically tells Anthony Kiedis' life story, and it is fascinating just what he went through from, taking his first marijuana joint spliff at I think it was 10 or 12, and the environment that he was in was not really conducive to doing much else other than starting along that path. But I remember reading it and thinking, wow, is this even true? I can't wait for it to be maybe made into a movie of some sort if it will get picked up. So that's the first one, Scar Tissue. The next one that I want to share with you, number 2 on the list, is Open by Andre Agassi, the tennis player, former Grand Slam winner of multiple different events. It is a gripping story, again, partly ghost written or with a ghostwriter, and it is so fascinating to see what he had to go through in order to become the best that he could be in terms of tennis and win those championships. And he really, I don't think he really wanted to be a tennis player. He didn't enjoy it. He found it more of a job more than anything else, like many of us might feel our jobs are. But Open was absolutely amazing. So whether or not you're a tennis fan, I strongly recommend you check out the book Open. The next one, number 3 on the list, I've done a video about, and it was one of my book of the months not that long ago, and it is called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And that is the story of Nike, the retail brand or the athletic brand Nike, up to about the 1980s, beginning of 1980s, so before they became big. And again, this reads amazingly well. And actually, when I was reading it, I thought this sounds familiar, like the writing style. And I believe it's the same ghostwriter that wrote Open, that wrote Shoe Dog. And Shoe Dog reads more like a novel than a business book. Again, I think that's been optioned to make into a movie by maybe Netflix or someone. I can't wait for that to come out. But it tells the tale of the scrappy startup, and the amount of times that they were so close to being broke and going up against the giants at the time, which were Adidas, and the clever marketing they did. And this is all before people like Michael Jordan came on board. So this book really details from the 1950s, 60s up until the 1980s. So the third book on the list is Shoe Dog. The next one on the list is a really fat book, really big book called Chantaram. Maybe you've heard of it. It's again, it was in a long time ago going to be optioned into a movie by maybe Brad Pitt bought the rights or someone like that. But it is a fantastic, true or maybe embellished story about an Australian, I guess he's a convict, or eventually went back to prison. I can't even remember. I read it back in 2009 when I had just finished going to base camp, Everest Base Camp, and I was trekking in Nepal. And it's a huge book, like that thick. and I read it in less than a week or so. And again, it was one of those books that I would spend 8-9 hours a day just reading and devouring. Whether it was 8 or 9 hours, or maybe it was 4 or 5 if it was a week to take to read it. But it takes you through to India, the slums of India. I think he ended up in Brazil, and it's just a fanciful tale really about life and his adventures, this guy's adventures. I think, I can't remember his name, I think it's Gregory someone or other, but Chantaram, I'll link to it. That's a fantastic book. So what book number were we up there? I think it was 4, that was number 4. So number 5 on my list is, I guess it was a big book back in the day. The movie's not so great, The Time Traveler's Wife. So a bit of a novel for you there, and I loved it. I remember again, I don't even remember too much about it. I mean, obviously the story is of a guy who doesn't really have a choice, but he time travels back to earlier parts of his life. So sometimes he is meeting someone for the first time, but really he's known them for a lot longer. So if he's a 45-year-old person and then he time travels back into his 20s self, he's already lived with his wife for a number of years, and then he meets her, or she meets him really for the first time, even though he knows her. So it was a fantastic book, not such a great movie to be fair with Eric Bana, but it was one of those books where I would be sitting on my couch, and if it was a choice between TV and the book, I would read the book. So that was number 5, The Time Traveler's Wife. And number 6, a book I read about 6 years ago, it's called Warrior Pose by Brad Willis. And it is about one person's journey through, I guess, illness, discovery of the practice of yoga, hence the name Warrior Pose. And he, this guy Brad Willis, was a CNN reporter, or a reporter from one of those big news channels back in the original Gulf War. He developed cancer, he broke his back, and then through rehabilitation found yoga. And again, it's one of those books that I just could not put down, and I had to get through. So whether you're into yoga or not, whether you've got an injury or not, that would be a great motivational one, Warrior Pose. But regardless of which, I thoroughly recommend Warrior Pose. So they're my 6 books. See if I can remember them all now. Scar Tissue, Open, Shoe Dog, Chantaram, The Time Traveler's Wife, and Warrior Pose. So they are 6 books, and they are just the only 6 books that I've read that what I call unputdownable. I'm not sure if that's a word, but they're the only 6 books that I've read out of the hundreds of books that I've read, and I am craving to find more books that I like that, where I literally can't put them down. So if you've got any recommendations for books that are unputdownable, please do comment below, either for me to read or other people to read. I would love to hear those suggestions, and I can devour some more books like that. If you've not read any of those books, I implore you to read them, because they are fantastic books, and I think you're going to find them just as thrilling as I did. That's it for this week. I hope you have a fantastic week. Remember to like, share and subscribe to this channel. And until next time, remember, stay strong, stay super. Bye-bye.